Hello, my name's Canta, which I'm sure a lot of you know. If you came from my other social media platforms, thank you so much for following me to a different platform. It really means a huge amount. And if this is the first time you're seeing me, welcome. This is going to be an introduction into my YouTube channel, and hopefully by the end of this video you'll make up your mind about whether it's something that you're interested in and you want to follow along, or whether I'm a pretentious prick and you could do anything else other than listen to me speak. Let's get into it. This is going to be my first long form video, which I'm so excited about because I feel I'm going to have a real opportunity to talk out some topics with you guys that I really haven't had the opportunity to, because, you know, I have my other platforms that have been doing really well and I can't tell you how grateful I am for that. But they're small clips and I find that, you know, maybe a 7 to 40-second video just isn't enough to tell the world how you feel about everything. And so I'm transitioning onto here. I suppose I'll start all of this by re-explaining why I started. It's something I've talked about before, but, you know, I'm not sure that I've ever had the opportunity to really dig into it. So I'll go straight in. I used to be a drug addict, and I used to be horrendously overweight and very depressed, and I used to be the kind of dickhead that would walk around in a Gucci tracksuit with gold chains and do what can only be described as nefarious things to get enough money to walk around in a Gucci tracksuit with gold chains. And I regret that lifestyle now. But unfortunately, it's part of my past, and I think without that I never would have ended up where I am now, which is having a great time, going on adventures, hanging around in nature, and just being who I am today, which I'm hugely grateful for. I heard a quote the other day which is, "You have to know great violence to experience such peace," and I think that that's really accurate for me, to be honest. So I started this journey mainly because through the past 5 years, you know, I quit taking anything. You know, I've gone completely clean. And the things I did was I smoked and I drank and I took prescription drugs, you know, antidepressants and anti-anxiety medication that I became horrifically addicted to, even painkillers there for a while. And you know, I got involved with pretty grim people, you know, some people that you really just don't want in your life. And I picked up some really, really nasty habits, mainly to fill the void of depression and anxiety in my life, which is, I think, is something that a lot of people can probably relate to. You know, you don't have to have gone down the same path I went down to understand that filling your life with bad habits is a really easy thing to do when you're unhappy. And then as I got my life together, I gained a perspective that I wanted to share to try and help other people. So I started preaching at my friends, and it helped a lot of them. And then eventually I had to shut up talking to my friends because I'd done it too much. And so I started talking to a camera. I started talking to you guys, and you seem to take it really well. Everybody seemed to enjoy it, and from the DMs I get and the comments I get, I seem to be helping a large amount of people that have been in a situation or are in a situation that I was in. I have a lot of experience dealing with mental health from my own perspective. I have a lot of experience with dealing with having an unhealthy body, an unhealthy mind, and an unhealthy relationship with substances. And now I'm here. So I'm transitioning to YouTube so that I can have a longer conversation about those kind of things and other stuff, you know. I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to give you tips on camping, you know, going on adventures, because that's something that I do a lot. I mean, nature's always been a big part of my life, but throughout the past 5 years, I've spent almost all my time in forests and mountains and going on adventures and sleeping in my car and getting into all kinds of things like rock climbing and hiking and cold water swimming and kayaking and everything. And it's a journey that I've really enjoyed, and I've gained a bit of knowledge that I'd love to share, because I think that there's a misconception that if you want to be an outdoorsy person, you have to have a lot of money and it's somehow expensive. But honestly, the only criteria for being an outdoorsy person is going outside. You don't have to have really good boots, you don't have to have a really good jacket, you don't have to have anything. Those are things I've acquired over time, but it's not how I started. I started with a pair of Nike Air Forces. They were absolutely destroyed and they were all I had at the time. I just started hiking in them, you know, and it worked. It worked for me, you know. The Air Forces were a surprisingly successful hiking shoe, as would have been anything else, because honestly, as long as you can put one foot in front of the other, and as long as you have a jacket that'll keep you warm, or 2 jumpers if you don't have a jacket, you can do it. You don't need all this fancy equipment, and you don't need a lot of money. I don't have a lot of money. Every time I say that, people get on my case because I have this jacket, and I have this bag, and I have this hat, but what you need to understand is I just have unusual priorities. I have about a tenner in the world right now. And I live on a diet of really cheap food, and I live at home with my mother, and I drive my girlfriend's car, and I'm just living, you know? But it doesn't take a lot of money. It doesn't take a lot of money to go on these adventures, you know. I don't do them alone a lot of the time. I do them with my friends. And some of my friends are working all different kinds of jobs. You know, I know tattoo artists. I know people in like suit and tie business jobs in 9-to-5s. I know people working labouring jobs. And we're all doing very similar stuff, you know. You don't need a certain job, you don't need a certain amount of spare time, you don't need anything to just enjoy being in nature and being outside and going on adventures to try and help your mental state. It's honestly just a very attainable thing for most people. And people often see me camping in my car because I fold down the back seats and I put the bed in the back and we travel all over Ireland. I'm in Ireland, if you couldn't tell by the accent. And the west coast of Ireland is a beautiful place, you know. There's places all over the world you can adventure, but that's my home ground, so I'm in there all the time, sleeping in the back of a car. And everybody kind of thinks you need a van or a camper van, which you don't. You really, really don't, you know. I do a lot more travelling and camping than most people that have camper vans. And, you know, they outdo me on money, equipment and time most of the time, but I'm just out there having fun, and it's proof that you don't need that kind of money. And just to put it in perspective, the first big adventure that me and my girlfriend ever did wasn't in the car we have now. It was in the first car that she ever had. I wasn't driving at the time and she did all the driving, and it was a Ford Fiesta, a 2006 Ford Fiesta. If any of you know what that car is, it's about this big, and I'm not joking. It's, if somebody's sitting in the front, there's no space for somebody in the back, you know. It's a tiny, tiny little car. It's a 1 litre engine and it cost €650. The thing was destroyed, right? We got up one day and decided we wanted to go on an adventure, you know? So we took some time off and we went up and down the west coast of Ireland. It took us nearly a month and we slept in that car every single night of it, you know. It was a difficult process, but we set it up so that it was comfortable and honestly really doable. We could have gone for longer than a month, and that's in a cheap shit tiny little car. It's completely doable in way less than you think. So I have a lot of tips on how to do that, how to do it cheap, and also just camping in general, because I'm outside in the forest most of the time and I have some authority on being able to tell you how to do it. I do it in tents, I do it in hammocks, I do it just sleeping on the floor. And it's a lot easier, a lot more attainable, and a lot cheaper than you think. The only rules are, you have to go outside, you have to enjoy yourself, and you have to leave no trace. I'm really, really big on that. Leaving no trace is more than most people think. It's not just not leaving your rubbish behind. It's also, you know, finding out where you can go for a shite and, you know, where you can not leave a mark of that. It's as easy as dig a hole, but a lot of people don't do that. They just crap in the middle of a trail and then leave a load of tissue paper covered in shite all over the place. That's not desirable. You know, I don't think that's hard to work out. But I honestly think that a lot more people could be going outside than are going outside, and I think a lot more people could be going on way more beautiful adventures and creating memories and living a lifestyle that they really want with as much money and as much time as they have right now. But there's this horrible narrative that you have to be rich or you have to be, I don't know, a special human being to go out and do it, because from my DMs and my replies on my stories and the comments on my posts, everybody seems to think that I have a special situation and a special setup that allows me to do these things, but I don't, you know, I don't. I'm just a normal guy, and it's just how I have prioritised and set up my life. Don't get me wrong, it comes with some downsides. I have fuck all money because all of my money goes into going on adventures, and, you know, I might have had to swallow a bogey there, I do apologise. I might have a completely less stable future than a lot of people, but I'm having a great time now, and I'm hoping I'll be having a great time then. And that's the lifestyle I chose. I think it's a lifestyle that would suit a lot of other people, but they don't know how to choose it, unfortunately. I think that I have some other stuff to talk about as well, which are the topics on my other social medias. If you want to know what those topics are, you can go over. I have an Instagram and a TikTok, Kale to McLean, spelt exactly the same as this YouTube channel. There are a lot of fake ones out there, so be careful. It's just Kale to McLean, spelt the same as this. No letters, numbers or symbols, no full stops, nothing like that. There are pages out there with those things. They're not me, they're just fake. They repost my stuff and they pretend to be me. It's not me. But I also have, you know, quite a few followers that I'm overly grateful for. But if you're trying to work out which page is mine, I have a couple of 100,000. Thanks, guys. And and so you can identify the pages because of the amount of followers, which is beautiful, and thank you. But if you want to look at some of the videos that I've posted, especially on Instagram, I'm much more active on Instagram than anything else. It'll show you the kind of topics I'm going to talk about. But, you know, just to put it out there, I think a lot of the things that I really would like to have a longer conversation about is things like habits, you know. I think that a lot of people, when they're trying to change their lives, they change all their habits by just trying to quit everything that they've done that's bad. You know, if you smoke or you drink or you hang around with the wrong people or you sleep in or you don't exercise or whatever these horrible habits are that you've accumulated and are trying to get rid of, I think that it's maybe not the best move to just quit them all, which is a really unpopular opinion, but hear me out, because it's one of the things I really want to talk about. If you quit a bad habit and replace it with empty space, it's such a lonely feeling. There's a reason you had that habit in the beginning. It's not because you went, you know what, I'd love to be a chain smoker. I don't think anybody's ever had that thought. It's not because you went, you know what, I'd love to be addicted to antidepressants. I'd love to be a heavy drinker. I'd love to hang around with some really nasty, shitty people. Nobody's thinking that, are they? I mean, if you are, maybe this channel isn't for you, but if you're not, like I wasn't, it's usually loneliness or insecurity or some thing in you that you feel that you lack, whether it's other people or whether it's qualities or whether it's activities or whether it's just something inside yourself that's missing. You've probably tried to fill that space with these empty habits or these bad habits, and it's very hard to get rid of those habits just to throw yourself back into the empty space. Now, this isn't something I implicated in the first part of my journey, but I wish I had. It would have made it a lot easier. And it's something I've definitely implicated as I went along and has made a huge difference in how easy it is to change your life, or change my life at least, which is just add good habits in. If you're drinking, if you're smoking, if you're taking drugs, if you can quit those or cut them down straight away, of course do. But if you've tried a bunch of times and failed, even with food, if you're just overweight, which was a huge thing for me, it still is. I'm still overweight, by the way. I'm still chubby as fuck, but I'm healthy and I go to the gym all the time and I go hiking and I'm eating well. So the chubbiness is much less, and also it doesn't restrict my life or health anymore, which is, you know, my goal. I don't really care so much about how I look. It's more how I feel. But especially with people who eat a lot, you're probably not eating a lot just because you're hungry. You're probably eating because you're bored or because you're lonely or just because there's something missing and you fill it with food. That's certainly something I did. Or even when you break it down to just, I want to have a good evening. You know, I haven't had a great day. I haven't had a great week. I'd like to have a good evening. And in your mind, that means, okay, so we'll watch a movie, we'll get a takeaway and some snacks. It's, you know, it's a narrative that we've all been kind of pushed into. But it's true. You're trying to fill a space of nothing with something, and trying to take away that habit just to replace it with the nothing you were trying to fill in the first place, all but impossible, honestly. You know, if you can do it, I applaud you, but a lot of people can't. So I think that the advice that I would give is, if you want to go to the gym, you want to take up a sport, you want to eat healthier, you want to hang around with better people, do that. Go to the gym, do nothing. Hang around in the gym. Use the treadmill for 5 minutes. Do one set of bench press. Use the cable flies. Go home. Go home and eat and drink and smoke as if you hadn't gone. Do you know what I mean? Like, just if you were going to have an off day anyway, you know, today's not a day you're on a diet, you fucked it up, just add going to the gym. And when you go home, if you want to eat a full takeaway and you want to eat a cake and you want to eat 20 packets of crisps, fine, do. But just have some healthy food first. Do you know what I mean? Like, don't tell yourself you can't have things. Just add in things that you want to have in your life. And slowly you'll also add people. That's the beautiful thing. If you start hiking or you start rock climbing or you start doing anything, whatever it is that you do, those are just things that I did, but you can do whatever you want. You're going to meet other people and you're going to get more and more into that activity. And as you get into that activity, you're going to begin to resent your habits that hold you back from enjoying that activity. And when you hang around with different people, you're also going to notice that they have very different habits to you, and you're going to start picking up their habits. So slowly, your bad habits will just naturally get pushed out of your life. Now, obviously, there's a big difference with highly addictive drugs and things like that. I've had that experience as well, I understand. But honestly, it makes it a lot easier, even when you have to tackle those things, you know. It gives you a leg to stand on. It gives you a place to move from. It gives you a platform to feel like you're already moving in the right direction, and momentum is everything. And I promise you, maybe it's not for everybody, but for me, adding things is a lot easier than taking them away. So I've kind of gone off on a tangent there. This was just supposed to be an introduction, but it's something I really do feel passionate about, as I do about all the other topics that I talk about. And I'm going to take this opportunity for long form videos to have all of those conversations. And I can't wait. The other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take the opportunity to answer a lot of questions that I didn't think that I could answer in a short form video. People would ask me things all the time. They would ask me things about my mental health. They would ask me things about the habits that I picked up and used. They would ask me things about the clothes that I wear, how I afford the things that I have, how I afford the journeys that I go on, how much money everything costs me, what kind of work I do, what's my family life like, what kind of food do I eat, what kind of thoughts do I think. And I never answered any of those questions really, because I thought I can't answer them in the 15-second clip that I post on social media, and even on a story, you know, maybe a minute. Now that I have this platform, I'm gonna, maybe the next video or the video after that I make, I'm gonna make a whole video on just answering my commonly talked about questions. And I'm obviously gonna talk about mental health in general, how I improved how I think, and hopefully how you can improve how you think, which I'm really excited to do. And a huge thing that I'm really looking forward to is, as I said, showing that it doesn't take that much money to do so. And a thing that I'm probably going to implicate is I'm going to be documenting my journeys. So I have a GoPro. I'm not just going to be using this camera. I'm going to be GoProing a lot of my journeys. So I'm going to have kind of two playlists on my channel. There's going to be talking videos like this, which will be mostly mental health, habits, improving your life, conversational topics. Maybe I'll even bring other people on and talk to them. And please, in the comments, by the way, suggest things for me to talk about. You know, I want to talk about things that you guys want to hear. So, you know, a lot of this is selfishly for me, because it's like therapy when I get to talk these things out. It's beautiful. But I also want to talk about things that you guys want to talk about. Please call me out on the things that I say. Ask me to talk about certain things. Disagree with me. That's fine. I think, you know, one of the most beautiful things is if one of you guys manages to disagree with me so much that you change my mind. I think that being mentally not set in your ways, the ability to change your mind is one of the most beautiful things. So please try and argue with me. I'm fully up for a conversation. The other thing is, I'm going to be documenting my journeys, as I said. So when I go away, I go and sleep in the car for 2-3 days at a time, a week at a time, or I go and I do camping in the forest overnight, maybe 2 or 3 nights, or I go away with a group, or whatever it is. I'm going to document that whole thing, so you guys can see everything that I'm doing, the whole behind the scenes, which I'm so excited to share. I really am. And then I'm probably going to tally up all the money that it cost me to do that trip. Maybe I'll have it at the top of the screen, or maybe I'll just announce it at the end of the video, whatever seems easy, because I hate editing. And then you guys can actually see how much money I actually spend. I will be completely honest. I will tally up everything, and I will show you exactly how much it costs me to go on an adventure, which I think would be a great way of showing you how much it costs, how attainable it is for you. Because if at the end of the video I go, well, this cost me, an overnight might cost me as little as 20-30 quid. Or less. Sometimes I take food with me and I only have to pay for diesel, and it might cost me 5 or 10, depending on how far I drive. Obviously, I will talk about the price of my equipment beforehand, so there's no, oh, well, the equipment is very expensive, which most of my equipment is extraordinarily cheap, by the way. But I will add up all those prices, and, you know, maybe I'll link some of the equipment if you guys are interested in getting some of it. Not paid ads. That would be great. If any of the companies that I specifically use want to sponsor me, that would be great. It's a topic I'll talk about really quickly, which is that I haven't done any paid promotion at any stage throughout any of my social medias. People have offered, you know, I get a lot of texts and DMs saying, would you advertise this for money? Would you advertise this for free products? Would you advertise this, blah, blah, blah. One company sent me a t-shirt. I told them I wouldn't advertise it, and they sent it to me as a gift. It's an amazing t-shirt, and I will make a video on it. I told them I'd post about it. I didn't, because I'm lazy, but that company actually are really nice. They're a sustainable company. They sent me a t-shirt. I'll make a video on their t-shirt, because they're good people, you know, but never any paid ads. What I would do, no problem at all, no questions asked, is if something that I use and trust and swear by, don't think is overpriced and think is actually genuinely worth buying, if one of the companies went, would you drop the link to that in your bio, or on your bio, but in your description, and talk about it, I'd do that, of course, because of course I'd share that knowledge, and if I could get something out of it, that'd be great. But that's the only way that I'd do it. I wouldn't I wouldn't allow a company to send me something and then me promote it, because unless it was something I really enjoyed and believed in, you know, if they had a situation where like, keep it for 2 months and if you like it, promote it. If you don't like it, don't. I'd do that probably, but never just empty advertising. You know, I'm really strict about that. I'm really set in my ways about that, you know. And I think that a lot of pages kind of get lost in that. I'm not saying that that's, you know, that's a bad thing. That's their own thing. But I think a lot of pages get lost in the advertising loop. And unfortunately, it stops the content from being genuine. And I want to keep my content as genuine as possible. Since the start of all of this, there's been no editing. There's been no takes. You know, maybe I'll fuck up saying something once and then I'll go back and I'll say it again. But like, honestly, I set up this camera. I connect a microphone to the end of a stick, which is something I'll definitely talk about because people ask me all the time. And I just talk. And even if I don't like what I said, if it mattered to me at the moment, I post it. That's what I do. I don't have any agenda behind the things that I'm saying. I don't have any agenda for the reason that I'm doing any of this. I'm just saying things that I would like to have heard when I was in my dark days. And I'm saying things that I would even like to hear now. And just putting it out into the world and hoping it helps people. Even this video, this was one take. There was no other takes. I've misspoken and I sniffed and swallowed a bogey there a minute ago. I don't necessarily want the world to see that, but it's the truth. I sniff and swallow bogeys. I don't always blow my nose. Occasionally I go, and then I go, and I swallow that bogey. Don't act like you don't do it. And don't make me feel bad for doing it. It's a natural thing. But I could have edited it out. I won't. I'm just going to keep them all in there. The only time that I might do a small bit of editing is I'm in forests all the time, and there are dirt bikers here often. I'm a very long way from society where I'm standing right now, but dirt bikers love trails. I have no issue with dirt bikers, you know, as long as they take their rubbish home and are reasonably respectful and don't scare the animals too much and they try and do it during the day. Look, if that's what you want to do, all for it. You know, I've ridden dirt bikes. It's a lot of fun. But they are very loud, and there are a few trails around me that aren't that close, but when there's dirt bikes, it's very loud. So if that happens, then I'll edit out those bits probably, because you don't want to see me standing here like this, waiting for those dirt bikes to go past, because they can be quite a lot of them and they can take quite a while. But other than that, there'll be no editing. I'm just going to stand here and talk, just an honest conversation between me and you, because that's how I think it's supposed to be. I think that's how it should be. I also don't have any script for these videos, as you might have been able to tell from my rambling. I just am going to be talking about things that matter to me and I think might matter to you. And that's pretty much what you can expect from this channel. You can expect documentation of my adventures and how much they all cost, conversations about how you can change your life for hardly any money and just a little perseverance, and this green screen. What do you reckon? I had a lot of conversations on my comment section of people thinking that this is a green screen. And it's actually the reason that I came here and recorded this video today, because it's going to be my first long form YouTube video. This is where I recorded, swallowed another bogey there. This is where I recorded my first ever big TikTok video. I recorded it here and I never thought it was going to blow up, but it all kind of came from that first one, to be honest. I'd been recording them for a little while before that, but that was the first big one. And I was standing in front of that tree. Everybody thought it was a green screen. In the comments, tell me what you think. Is it a green screen? Because I get this comment all the time, and I have done ever since. People seem to think that I have a huge JPEG folder of images of forests around Ireland, and I'm in a room somewhere. I assume you guys can hear the birds, which would mean I would have to make a recording of birds as well. But everybody, is it a green screen? And if you think I'm lying about people thinking it's a green screen, go into the comments of some of my older videos, even a lot of my newer ones on my other social media platforms. There are a lot of people really upset that I stand in front of a green screen. So at some point, if it becomes a big enough topic, I'll go over there and I'll slap it, and maybe it's a big sheet and it comes down, who knows? Or maybe it's a forest. Maybe it's a forest. But look, take your bets. I'm really glad that you guys listened to me for this long. This has been a beautiful, beautiful experience. Just talking to the camera just now for this long is the first time I've had the opportunity to do that. I did one podcast, but that's different because it was in a room and I was talking to somebody, and this has been great. This has been really great, honestly. This has been great. I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. I will say, My adventure videos for the next little while won't be as quick because, as some of you might know, my mother is sick. She's very sick, and we started chemotherapy yesterday. And until we settle into that new reality, and until all that becomes a bit of a rhythm, I'm not going to be going on too many adventures because I want to be at home with my mum. So, obviously, as things settle, I will be going on my adventures again, but I might not be doing 2-week-long adventures at the moment. I'll probably be doing a couple of days, which is, more than enough to have a great time and show you guys everything I want to show you. But just be patient with me with the adventures. These talking videos, I'll probably talk about what it's been like dealing with my mum being sick, because it's been a great opportunity for me to apply some of the skills to not get upset and depressed and anxious that I've learnt over the last few years, really put them to the test and see if they work, and then I can testify that they could work for you guys. But just be patient with the adventure videos. If you've made it this far, thank you very much for listening to everything I had to say. If you came from one of my other platforms, I love you so much. And if you're seeing me for the first time, I hope we learn to love each other. If you think I'm a pretentious dick, I'm sorry, but maybe I'm just more of a pretentious dick than I think I am. That would be unfortunate, but I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.